Hi everybody, welcome to the Manifold channel. We're going to continue our series looking at the new user interface for select and transform panes by playing around with rasters. We're looking at Manifold System Release 9. All this works in the free viewer as well. And we have the desktop set up so that here on the left we have a few panes, the project pane, the layers pane, and here on the right we have the transform pane. What we're going to do is we're going to work with this map that has a single layer, this terrain elevation raster layer, which shows a terrain elevation in the region of Livermore, California. And we're going to play around with doing transforms. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose what layer we want to use. There's only one layer in the map. It's called terrain elevation. We'll work with that. And let's play with basic arithmetic. So these are, up here are all the different transforms that I've recently used, and there's a recently used list. You can see I've been practicing for this video. And here let's drop into the, double click on the arithmetic transform, and you can see there's a lot of different arithmetic operations that we can do. Such a long list that actually goes off screen, off video. And what we're going to do is we'll work with add, and if this image is just a single channel image, but if it was a multi-channel image, we could choose what channel to work with. Here's just channel 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a value to it, and let's add 100 to all the pixel values and to the terrain elevation values, which will have the effect of moving the terrain elevation up. And we can put the result in the same field or into a new field or a new table. Let's put it into a new field. And what I will do is I will open the table for this image. Off screen I clicked on open table, and I'm going to control click on the tab to move the table down here. You can see it has an X field, a Y field, and a tile field. What I want to do is put the focus back here, and you can see, by the way, as I put the focus back in the map, that where we left the transform pane, it's still there. It's still in action, ready to go with all the settings that we had just before we switched here to the table field. And we go back to the table. It switches to whatever you want to do with the table, back here to the map, and the transform pane remembers. That's part of the magic of the new interface. The idea is to not have to re-enter stuff that you've already entered once. So anyway, we're going to put the we're going to create a new field called tile temp, and we'll create an image from that. We'll call that terrain temp. And so, okay, so we want to take the terrain elevation layer, the tile field in it, channel 0. We're going to add 100 to that. We're going to put the results in a new tile temp field, which will be created here, and we'll create a new image for that as well to visualize it. Click transform, and you can see it instantly added. That new field did all the computations. If we drag and drop the terrain temp image into the map, you'll see it's shown here in default formatting, default styling. Let's add style to that. I'm going to copy style from the terrain elevation layer, and the way I'll do that, this is kind of a shortcut I like to use. Not everybody does it this way. Copy, and then here in the properties, I'll add a style pixel property. And here I will paste what I copied. And we've just copied the style information from the terrain elevation layer and put it into the terrain temp layer. And you can see, if I turn that off, what the effects are of moving the terrain up 100 feet. So it's all formatted slightly differently here, taking advantage because of the way the ramp works for the thematic formatting that I'm using on this particular terrain elevation data set. Now what's cool is this transform is still sitting here, and it's still ready to go. So for example, if I wanted to add 200 feet, another 200 feet, so we're going to have a total of 300 feet added, and I'm going to put the result into the tile temp field that I created earlier. So what it's going to do is going to take data in the terrain elevation tile field, which is here, and we're going to add 200 to that. I'm going to put that into the tile temp field, so that'll make the elevation 200 feet higher overall. Click transform, and this display immediately updates because this terrain temp drawing is showing what's here in the tile temp field. This gives you a way of having as many, in effect, channels as you want for an image, because you can just add additional fields here that are 1, 2, 3, or 4 channels, and in this case we're adding 2 additional fields, tile fields, that are each 1 channel. So all that is pretty cool. Let's use this capability for something trickier and more useful than simply creating a terrain that moves up and down in size, which is handy. But there's other things we can be doing. And what we will do is we will let's prepare the terrain elevation display for use with watershed calculations, because there's a lot of sinks here. So if you're doing watersheds, you don't want to have sinks where water can get trapped, because that'll interrupt the flow. And to fill sinks, we use a so-called watershed prepare. What we'll do is we'll take the terrain elevation layer, and we'll do a fill height of up to 500 feet, or 500 meters, I believe. This is a meter base, so that's guaranteed to fill any sinks that are in the vicinity of Livermore, California, which is where this terrain elevation is all about. And we'll put the result of that into the tile temp field. So let's see, all that's ready. You're ready, set, go, transform. And there, it filled all the sinks. And now the terrain temp layer looks very much similar to the terrain elevation layer, because it's thematically formatted the same. It's just that it had all the sinks that have been filled in it. So now if we like, we can use this terrain temp layer. And let's do that right here. Let's go lift up, and let's go, instead of terrain elevation, let's use terrain temp, and we'll work with watersheds. And we'll use the tile temp field, and we're going to do watersheds on that. And we'll use a minimum flow. Let's have a minimum flow of say 1,000, and we'll compute watershed lines. There's an output of areas, downstream lines, sink areas, upstream lines, and so forth. We'll just choose watershed lines, and that's going to go into a new drawing. And the new drawing we'll call Watershed Lines. And the table that we want that drawing to use, I'll just call it Watershed Lines T. T is short for table. So, using the tile temp field, that's the one we just filled, we're going to create an output that's lines, watershed lines, and we'll create it with a minimum flow of 1,000, so that'll the watershed that feeds each line will have at least 1,000 units of flow into it. So that'll make them reasonably large lines instead of having zillions of tiny little lines. And we're going to automatically create a new drawing called Watershed Lines with a new table, Watershed Lines T. And let's click Transform. And it computes away, and there we're done. So if we drag and drop that Watershed Lines drawing into the map, you can see it's geo-registered. And there are the lines. Let's style those lines. Let's color them with let's make it a brighter color. And let's put a halo on those. Let's make the halo. Turn the halo on, let's make the halo black, and we'll make the padding half a point. So that'll put like a black outline around the lines. There, that makes them look a little bit better. And what we've just done is first we filled all the sinks to create this new field here in our raster table. And then what we've done is using that filled sinks version of the terrain elevation data, we've created water lines on those. Super. Let's do some more things. Let's use the new contours capability, and let's choose terrain elevation, and let's choose contour. So we'll use the tile field again, and the new contour thing. Well, new contour facility allows us to automatically. Let's choose a step of 50. Automatically generate for the full range, so we can start, end. And what I want to do is I want to round the start and end to the steps. So instead of being from 151 to 201 to 251 to 301, it'll start at 150, 200, 250, and so on up to 650. And we'll put a new drawing. We'll call the new drawing Contours. And the new table, we'll call that copy, paste, Contours T. All right, click Transform. And we've just created contours based on this terrain elevation. We're just using the tile here. We don't need to bother using the fill tile. So let's drag and drop that contours drawing into the map, and you can see those are our contours. Actually, I don't like that. I don't like it that I created areas. So let's change it so to create lines. So what I'll do is I'll change it to create lines. Notice everything here is still set exactly the way it was. I want to recreate this drawing. So I want to recreate this drawing. I'm going to select the contours in the contours table here. I'm going to delete it. Delete those components. Yep. Notice that the tab stays here in the map, so it's ready to go when we recreate the drawing. Click Transform, and we've recreated the contours again, but now using a line. To show those, I can just click View, Refresh, and that refreshes this lay here contours. It goes back to find the contours drawing that it thought it had available to use, and then it shows it again. So maybe we want more detail than just 50. So let's change the step to 10. And once again, what I'll do is I'll delete these two guys here, rerun the transform. That recreates the drawing in the table. And now when I view refresh, we can see that we now have denser lines in the contours drawing. So that was quite effective, and that was a happy and fast way of doing all this stuff. Let's turn off the contours, and let's enhance the terrain elevation with one more thing that we'll do. We'll use slope functionality, because the slope functionality is where we find things like curvature. And by the way, if you don't remember where these things are, because all these top-level transforms can have a lot of stuff into it, what you can do is you can just enter curvature, and that'll into the filter box, and that'll help you find and filter all these transform templates. So the one that contains filter, because it looks down not just at the top level name, but also into the various option names. So let's use a plan curvature with a radius of 3. We have a GPU in this computer, so it'll run really fast. And what I'll do is I want to put that not into a new field. I don't want to put it into a new field like this terrain elevation table here. I'll create an entirely new image. So let's call this plan curvature. And the table is called Plan Curvature T. So with the radius of 3, this should go very fast. This goes way faster. I mean, it's done already. It's instantaneous. And we don't need this table. Let's get rid of that table. So let's now drag and drop plan curvature into here, and we see the plan curvature computed with and displayed with default styling. To use that to enhance visually enhance this layer, what we can do is here in the layers pane, I'll take the terrain elevations layer and I'll change the opacity of that to 80%, so that lets some of the plan curvature layers show through. And if I toggle the plan curvature layer off and on, you can see that without plan curvature, without that additional computation, we don't have a whole lot of detail in here in the flatter parts of the terrain where the various how the terrain actually curves. But when you add the plan curvature, that adds additional detail. In fact, let's make this probably 90% for a less emphatic effect. That gives us some additional enhancement of the terrain elevation. What we've seen so far, we've done a very quick video here. We've just absolutely scratched the surface of the very, very many things you can do, because Manifold can handle just immensely large data. I mean, we could be working with 200, 500 gigabytes worth of images and data here. Don't hesitate to do things like add extra fields or extra channels to images. You can multiply them. You can have multiple images, taking data out of the same table but styling it and showing it in different ways. The transforms here are highly effective. If there's anything you ever use frequently, for example, if you use plan curvature a lot, just click this pin right there. It jumps to the top because now it's pinned. The next time you open Manifold, that'll be there. That'll be at the top of your list. This most recently used list of templates is also a great way to jump to something that you've done previously. For example, just double click on Watershed Lines, and there you are, ready to rumble with Watershed with the output set to lines. There's many facilities like that, a lot of conveniences. There's been a lot of work put into this particular system, and it results in very fast workflow, especially for repetitive or iterative workflow that is typical of GIS work. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember, you can do all this in the free viewer as well. For all sorts of infinite details and all these wonderful capabilities, dig into the user manual, watch more videos, and tell your friends. Thanks for watching, and goodbye from Manifold Land. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.